Halil Karaveli, Senior Fellow with the Turkey Initiative at the Central Asia and Caucasus Institute and Silk Road Studies Program Joint Center.
People who come to power speaking about freedom, as has been the case in Egypt as well, and in other so-called Arab Spring countries, they want freedom for their own group. And what you have in the Middle East is that you have a very weak sense of citizenship, of national unity. What you do have is countries divided into sectarian, ethnic, religious groups. And that means that, as we can see in Syria today, you have a Sunni uprising against an Alawite regime. When the Sunnis come to power in Syria, they will, of course, massacre or drive away the Alawites and the Nusayris and the Christians and so on. So every group that assumes that tries to come to power wants freedom for itself. And it has also been the case in Turkey. The Sunni conservatives, they carried the banner of freedom against the military and the authoritarian state. But once they came to power and once they entrenched themselves in power, they have shown no inclination whatsoever to share power with other groups in society, be it with the Kurds, be it with the Alawite minority, and so on. They only wanted state power for their own group. And that's a rather depressing phenomenon, but that is the case in the Middle East, that most countries, perhaps Egypt being a little bit of an exception to that, that they have very weak national unities. Actually, these are not nation states. These are states that consist of tribes and different ethnic and sectarian groups. And that means that you just try to be as strong as you can against the other groups in society. And I fear very much for the future of the Christians and the Alawites in Syria. Syria is, what is portrayed, especially in the West, as a popular uprising against a brutal dictator. Of course, Bashar al-Assad is a brutal dictator, but it is not only an uprising against a dictatorship, it's also a civil war between the Sunnis and the Alawites and the other groups that support the regime. So I see that especially in the Western policymakers and Western observers tend to overlook this fact when they are talking about and trying not to bring about a regime change in Syria and seeing to and arming the Sunni rebels in Syria. And it feels that they are actually throwing more fire or more gasoline on the fire in Syria and inflaming sectarian and tensions there, which will have, I fear, severe consequences in the near future.
Well, and just to remind you, our guest speaker was Halil Karaveli, Senior Fellow with the Turkey Initiative at the Central Asia Caucasus Institute and Silk Road Studies Program Joint Center.